My friends, are reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus told his disciples a parable. Can a blind man guide a blind person? Will not both fall into the pit? No disciples is superior to the teacher, but when fully trained, every disciple will be like his teacher. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me remove the splinter in your eye, when you do not even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite, remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your brother's eye. My friends, the good news of our salvation.
Praise to you, O Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning, my sisters and brothers.
Good morning.
One of the realities that we have, in a way, have experienced in our life is temptations. There are so many temptations that every day we encounter and we fall into it, like temptations to wealth, temptations to power, temptations to glory, temptations to be lazy, temptation to our own flesh desire, so many temptations. And most of them, my friends, we are aware of it. But there's this certain temptations that we are not aware because it becomes part of our own daily behavior or attitude that we don't recognize that it is basically a temptations, and many of us are always falling into it. This is the temptation to judge other people. I do not know that this is also something built in our own mind, that immediately when someone will commit a mistake, when someone will fall behind or below our own standards, or when someone is sinning against other people, or sinning against God, or living in immorality, we are so harsh and we are so quick, we are so spontaneous in judging other people. And yet, sometimes, my sisters and brothers, we are actually committing a mistake because there are moments in our own life that we say, oops, mali pala ang aking paghatol sa taong ito. And sometimes, my sisters and brothers, this is actually the main fault of us, that we tend to be more righteous than other people, that in the end, we condemn them, we judge them, without even listening to them. There's no problem with regard to judging other people. But I guess in the end, we don't judge for the sake of judging or condemning that person, but we are in a way judging that person with compassion and forgiveness. Why? Because we are supposed to correct one another. This is what we call fraternal correction. It is our own duty as Christians to correct one another in order for us to be able to come closer to the Lord. But unfortunately, sometimes this is not us. We just judge for the sake of judging. It is actually coming from hate, not in our own desire to bring back that person to the Lord. The sense or the spirit of what we call fraternal correction is actually no longer there. The second point is, we need to consider that when we are in a way being tempted to judge, I guess the best way or attitude or even behavior that we need to bring in before we can even judge other people is the word or the phrase, me first before others. I need to look at my own sinfulness or limitations or even faults before I can even look at the faults or sins of other people. When we do this, my sisters and brothers, we tend to be more merciful, forgiving, and understanding to that person because we recognize that we are also like them. In this gospel reading, my sisters and brothers, the Lord said to the Pharisees that they are basically not telling a lie. They call them hypocrites because they tend to judge without even looking at looking at their own selves in the context of their own judgment. Maybe it's also good to notice that in this gospel reading, the humor of Jesus is coming out. In reality, my sisters and brothers, sometimes we don't see Jesus as a humorous person. But in this gospel reading, very, very clear. 3 cuentos said by Jesus, and all those are very humorous. Just imagine the first story with regard to, can you imagine a blind leading a blind person? It is actually humor. Or the second story when he said, is it possible that the student can be greater than the teacher? That's also a joke. Or the last one is actually worse. Or the best joke when the Lord said, how come that you are in a way looking at the speck of the eyes of your brothers and sisters without even looking that you have a log in your own eye? Just a speck, and then look at your own eye. You have a log, parang mayroong isang malaking troso sa iyong mga mata, pero hindi mo nakikita. Pero nakikita mo yung maliliit na kasalanan ng iyong kapwa. That's why it is done in a very humorous way, because I guess, one of the reasons why I feel that Jesus is actually trying to be humorous in this gospel reading is because we're supposed to take a bitter pill, something that we cannot accept, and so do it in a very humorous way. Minsan ganyan tayo, di po ba? Kapag meron tayong mga seryosong bagay na sasabihin sa ating kapwa, minsan dinadaan natin sa joke. But in reality, we realize that all jokes have a reality or truth in it. No? Sabi nga nila, ang bawat katotohanan o ang bawat joke ay may bahid ng katotohanan. Minsan dinadaan lang natin sa joke para yung isang katotohanan hindi kayang tanggapin ng ating kapwa o hindi natin kayang tanggapin sa ating sarili, matatanggap natin. Today's gospel, the Lord gave us 3 jokes. I do not know if you laugh, but it is actually a joke. You know why? Because there's a bitter pill that we need to accept. And what is the bitter pill? The realization, sisters and brothers, that in the end, we are not better than other people. Or even to the point that sometimes we are worse than them. Isang katotohanan na dapat nating tanggapin na sa huling pagtutuos, hindi tayo mas banal, mas mahusay, mas taong matuwid kaysa sa ibang tao. Kundi, baka nga in the end, mas masahol pa tayo sa mga taong hinahatulan natin ng hindi mali o ng maling paghatol. That's why here, my friends, I guess it is also good to recognize right now that in order for us to be able to swallow this bitter pill that we are not better than other people or sometimes we are worse than other people, the Lord gave us 3 important pictures in order for us to be able to understand everything. The first picture that the Lord gave us here is about the blind person leading a blind person. Come to think of it, sisters and brothers, sometimes the reason why we are condemning is because we feel that we are better than other people without even recognizing that we are actually blind also. Tell me, will you follow a mechanic telling you how to cook food? Definitely not. Tell me, a mechanic, in a way, criticizing the food made by a famous chef. Definitely, you will not listen to this person because you're just a mechanic, mekaniko ka lang. Sasabihin mo, hindi masarap yung niluto ng isang chef? Who told you? Alam mo ba ang ibig sabihin ng masarap na luto? Sometimes we're also like that. We tend to judge other people as if we are experts of life, as if we are expert of our own attitude and behavior and even words, without even recognizing that we are not experts. And so this person is an expert, and yet we are judging them as if we are experts. We are, in a way, blind. Minsan nga po, nalulungkot ako sisters and brothers, kasi minsan po ba, masyado tayong apektado sa mga criticism ng ibang tao sa atin, na kung titignan mo, yung mga taong ito, wala namang magandang ipinakitang bagay sa kanyang buhay. Bagkus yung kanyang mismong buhay, giba-giba o sira-sira. Pero pag may sinabi siya sa'yo, nasasaktan ka. Ba't ka nasasaktan? You know that this person telling you something, or you're actually being criticized by this person. You know that this person is blind. You know that this person is actually, in a way, also is actually living a false life. And yet, pag may sinabi sa'yo, apektado ka. Minsan gano'n, kaaway mo. Diba? Pero minsan, ang nakakalungkot, sister and brothers, sometimes, we tend to listen or be affected by people that does not love us. And yet, when people who are actually good to us or loving us will tell something to us, hindi natin pinapansin. Hindi tayo naapektuhan. Pag sinabi sa'yo ng isang taong nagmamahal sa'yo, kami yan, hindi ka pababayaan ng Diyos, nandito lang ako. Minsan, pasok, labas. Pero pag yung isang taong hindi mo namang kilala, alam mo namang hindi magandang ugali, may sinabi, yun ang dinadamdam mo, yun yung dinadala mo sa isip mo. There's actually an irony. Listen to people that loves you. Allow the words of people that loves you to affect you. Hindi yung mga taong kung ano-ano lang yung sinasabi sa'yo and then you are being affected by these people. Mali, di ba? Napaka-unfair. Yung mga nagmamahal sa'yo, yung mga salita nila, hindi mo pinakikinggan o hindi mo siniseryoso. Pero yung salita ng isang taong walang pakialam sa'yo at galit sa'yo, yun yung iniintindi mo. There's something wrong about it. Blind person cannot lead blind person. So please, when someone will tell you or criticize you or judge you and you know that this person is actually person which is not living a good life, just keep quiet. Ignore it. It's nothing. A blind cannot lead a blind person. So, I need to ask also myself, am I also a blind leader? Am I also a blind person that I am also in a way tend to judge other people without even recognizing, teka, baka may mga bagay din akong bulag o mga bagay na hindi ko rin nakikita sa tao ito. So then in that context, I recognize that in order for me to be able to judge other people, I need to know the truth. And I realize that I cannot know the truth. And so, it is more on the context of accompanying. No? Hindi lang tayo humahatol. Hindi, alam mo, naliligaw yung tao ng landas. Samahan mo. Huwag ka manatili sa pagpupuna. Mamuna ka upang magtama. Hindi mamuna ka upang i-down lang yung tao. Second is, the gospel said, a student cannot be greater than his master. But with right training, he can be better than the teacher. What does it mean? My friends, all of us are disciples of God or Jesus. All of us are still in the learning process. So we cannot say to someone, you are wrong, without even recognizing that you are not a teacher or we are not a teacher, and then you are in a way judging someone with regard to life, with regard to morality, without even asking, oo nga pala, dapat kong ilagay sa isip ko para maging humble ako ay yung isang katotohanan na hindi naman talaga ako teacher pa, and so I don't have them, because all of us are students. Lahat po tayo ay nagkakamali. Naalala ko lang po, no, tayo po, nung tayo po ay nasa elementary, high school, or even in college, kapag tayo ay merong quiz, let's say, exam 1 to 10. Di po ba, let's say, you got 7. Anong lalagay ng teacher sa paper mo? 7 out of 10. Di ba? Alin yung binibilang natin? Yung tama. Hindi natin binibilang yung mali. Hindi sasabihin ng teacher 3 out of 10. Ang binilang niya yung mali. No, hindi po ba? Kahit na sa yung exam, ang binibilang yung tama. 7 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Bakit? Yun talaga yung namahalaga eh. Kapag nagtama ka, kailangan bilangin mo rin yung mga magandang nagawa ng tao. Pero minsan hindi po tayo ganun eh. Diba? Para bang minsan, meron po ako isang kaibigan na in pain sa kanyang asawa. Kasi sabi niya, alam mo Father, 25 years kaming magkasama ng aking asawa. 25 years, napakaganda po ng buhay namin. Tuwang-tuwa siya sa akin, Father. Mahal na mahal niya ako. Para nagkamali lang ako ng isang beses. Nagkamali lang ako ng isang beses, Father. Alam po ba ninyo, binulan niya yung 25 years na yon at ang natatandaan na lang niya ngayon ay yung aking isang pagkakamali na ginawa ko sa kanya ngayon. Pero yung 25 years, kung paano kami naging masaya, burado. Di ba, Father? Mali. O nga, no? Parang mali. Minsan ganyan tayo. When we judge other people, we forget that this person is not totally pure evil, and sometimes this is just a mistake or just part of our own learning process that we are not perfect people. But sometimes we tend to judge and look at this person in their own context of sins, but forgot that this person have done something good to us also. Kaya kung mag-exam tayo, kung gano'n na rin pala tayo, kung out of 10 yung exam, nagkamali ka ng 3, then 3 out of 10. 3 mistakes out of 10. Hindi nga po ganun eh. 7 out of 10. Ang binibilang natin ay kung ano yung magandang bagay at yung mali. Alam natin na 3 yung mali, ayusin natin tahimik. Kaya nga sa Bible reading also in few days ago, the Lord said, if someone will commit a mistake against you, do it in private. Huwag mong hatulan ng in public. Because Asians like us, the Filipinos like us, face is actually very important. And you cannot change someone when you, in a way, publicly condemn this person in front of many people. You cannot change this person. So, we are not better than other people because we are also students. But with regard to being trained well, and who's our master? Jesus is our master. And we are actually being trained when we go to prayer, when we read the scriptures. We are being trained so that in the end, we may be able to correct someone, not just to judge, but actually to bring this person closer to the Lord, because we have learned the path by listening to the Master. Even if we know that we are not yet masters, we are just teachers, we are just students. We are just students. Number 3, my friends, the Lord said, never ever judge someone or telling to this someone that you have a speck in your own eye without even recognizing that we have a log in our own eye. This is actually very humorous. Nakakatawa ito, para bang pag itong ating picture na to, i-drawing mo o inilagay mo sa movie, just imagine that this person has a huge troso sa kanyang mga mata. Ang hirap isipin, di ba? Pero nakakatawa. Pinapatawa lang tayo ng ating Panginoon kasi ito po yung madalas na katotohanan na in the end also, there are moments in our own life that we are actually worse than those persons that we are judging. But sometimes we fail to recognize that. That's why the Lord in this gospel reading is actually trying to enlarge, no? Mas pinalalaki niya, no? In order for us to see a reality that we tend to ignore in our own life, that we are also sinners like other people. That's why there's also a beautiful story in the gospel reading wherein Jesus said to the Pharisees having those stones on their own hands, because they want to kill that woman who actually caught in having an adultery. Said, okay, the Lord said, those who don't have sins may cast the first stones. And then suddenly, everybody, that's another joke. That's another joke. Just imagine Jesus just laughing inside because he said, oh, yung unang walang kasalanan, unang bumato. Tawa-tawa si Jesus sa kanyang puso kasi yung mga Pariseo, mula sa bata, according to the story, hanggang sa pinakamabata, unti-unting umalis. Why? Because they recognize that they are also sins, that they are also sinners. My friends, I guess the main point here is it is important for us right now to look at our own sinfulness, limitations, and faults before we can even judge other people. The gospel is not telling us that we are not supposed to judge people at all. What the Lord is, in a way, telling us, be more discreet, be more slow to judge, because judgment or correcting other people is for the sake of what we call fraternal correction. That you are allowed to judge with the following conditions. First, look at your own sins first. Second, do it in the context of fraternal correction. Third, do it in the context of mercy and also forgiveness. Dalhin mo itong tatlong ito, okay lang mag-judge. Pero kung hindi mo dala itong tatlong ito, never ever judge, because we don't want that one of these days when all of us will go to heaven, the Lord will harshly judge us also without listening to us, and then He will say, Lord, Lord, please listen to me. I have reasons why I did it. But the Lord said, should I listen to you? When you are still on earth, you did not listen to people. You just judged them. You don't even give them an opportunity to change. Now you're asking me to be merciful to you and forgive you. If in the end, when in your own past you are not merciful and forgiving to other people, tell me, di po ba? Meron pong pagbasa 2 days ago. The Lord said that the measure that we use to other people is the measurement will also be used to all of us. So bantayan mo. Bantayan mo yung takalan, lalagyan na ginamit mo sa ibang tao. Sapagat ito rin takalan na gagamitin sa atin ng Panginoon kapag tayo ay humarap sa Kanya. Just imagine kung yung takalan mo napaliit, yung pang-unawa sa kapwa, pagpapatawad, awa ay napakaliit. Tapos pagdating mo sa akin, sabi mo, bakit ang liit naman ng takalan ko? Bakit? May takalan ka ba malaki? My friends, in the end, this is something that we need to consider, that our friends who are actually at loss are actually our brothers and sisters. They are simply blind. They are simply at loss. They are actually good people. They are actually children of God. Wala pong masamang tao na ginawa ang Diyos. Ang lahat ng ginawa ng Diyos ay mabuti. Kaya lang minsan, nagiging masama ang isang tao dahil sa mga maraming dahilan na hindi po talaga natin kayang unawaan. Kaya naroon ang tawag na maging mapagpasensya, mapag-unawa sa mga taong naliligaw ng landas. Ang paghatol ay para sa Diyos. Ang pagpapatawad ay hamon ng Diyos sa bawat isa sa atin. Because in the end, my sisters and brothers, we are actually also, as I have said yesterday, enemies of God, and yet the Lord allowed us to become His friend. Because He can see something positive, something beautiful inside your heart. That's why He is actually much more patient and forgiving, because He wanted to save you. What about you? When hatred is in our own hearts, you will never ever see the beauty of that person. But when love will come, you will in a way see not only his or her sins, but also his own desire to become closer to the Lord, and his own or her own potential to also love other people and be a person for other people. And so as we continue our own prayer, always take that disposition, me first, before others. I judge myself first before others. And when I do some criticism, which is important, this is in the context also of not just to judge, but to correct a person and bring him back to the Lord in the context of compassion and forgiveness. So my friends, let us ask ourselves right now, am I a blind person? Do I see my own faults? Before you even attempt to judge other people, sisters and others, pray this simple prayer. Lord, let me see my fault first before I see the fault of other people.